Your real estate brokerage bookkeeping process is not working. There's a very good chance that's why you're here watching this very video. Now, you might have thought that it was going to be easy, but here are a few thoughts on why it may not be as easy as you thought it would be. Intuit, the makers of QuickBooks and, of course, QuickBooks Online, have done a great job of convincing the world that you don't really need to know a lot about bookkeeping. If you're using QuickBooks Online, it's so easy to use. Anybody can do bookkeeping with QuickBooks Online. There's some truth to that. Depending on the industry, if you're in a business model that's simple enough, then yeah, there are cases where somebody with very little to no bookkeeping experience can pick it up. You can figure out how to write a check. You can figure out how to record an invoice, and poof, you're off and running. I have bad news and good news. The bad news is that's not the case for real estate brokerage. The good news is that's because you're in an industry that's specialized, that requires certain expertise, especially on the bookkeeping side, in order to know not just how to do bookkeeping, but how to do it properly for a real estate broker. It's possible that by now you've even been through 2 or 3 bookkeepers, only to find out that even if they do have a solid foundation in bookkeeping, they don't know how to do it specifically for a real estate brokerage. In fact, there's a good chance that you discovered this when the time came and you said to the bookkeeper, hey, I paid this agent at the table on this listing, and you would assume as the real estate broker that they understand what that means, and accordingly, they know how to do the bookkeeping for it. But that may be the exact point at which you find out that they don't have the specific experience for your industry that's required, that's needed. And you, as somebody who's not trained in bookkeeping, who's probably very well trained as a real estate broker, definitely wouldn't be expected to have that kind of experience. So I want to answer a question for you that you may or may not be thinking about. But the question is, what are bulletproof books and why is this important? If you've been around my stuff for a minute, then you probably already have a sense of who I am. My name is Seth David. I've been helping real estate brokers set up and clean up their books for their brokerages for many, many years now. And there's a good chance you've seen my videos on YouTube, specifically the one I did that's about QuickBooks Online for real estate brokers, the essentials, right? And that's where I go over how to record the commission that you've earned. You know, $1 gross. It's not the whole deal. It's just kind of the starting point, which is how to record your gross commission. Now, so back to the question, what are bulletproof books and why is this important? Simply put, bulletproof books are a set of books where I can prove every single number. Now, that might sound extreme to you, but I want to explain to you why it's not only isn't it extreme, it's actually really important to be able to do that. And the simple answer, by the way, to how to do that is that you don't fudge numbers. You actually do the bookkeeping properly, and you have the right backup in place so that you can actually prove the numbers. So let's talk about the benefits of bulletproof bookkeeping. Hopefully it should start to seem obvious at this point. But the first benefit is that you have reliable data, right? Data that you can use to make informed decisions. Most importantly, data that you can trust, right? As the business owner, as the broker, you want to be able to look at your balance sheet and see what it says you have in the bank and feel very confident, very much reassured, know that you have a system where if you do have any doubts, you can prove those numbers or prove that they're wrong, right? That's a system that you can trust. That means when you run your balance sheet, if you know you've got that kind of system in place, you can look at those numbers and you can move on throughout the rest of your day and know where you stand financially. So again, the first benefit of bulletproof books is reliable data, actionable data that you can trust. The second one, compliance, getting a tax return filed. Obviously, it's important to have accurate books when you're filing your tax returns. You don't want to overpay and you don't want to underpay your taxes. The third benefit that I want to mention for now is third-party stakeholders. For example, something you may have experienced very recently is applying for a PPP loan, the Payroll Protection Program loans, and then applying for forgiveness. In order to apply for forgiveness, you had to have records that you can prove, if need be, based on how much payroll you paid during the 24-week period following when you got the money. And if the payroll itself wasn't enough to satisfy the entire amount of forgiveness you're applying for, then you also need accurate records to confirm how much rent you've paid, utilities, any of the other expenses that were defined as allowable for forgiveness purposes, right? So 3 benefits, 3 reasons why it's really important to have extremely reliable books, why it's not far-fetched to say that you would have bulletproof books, meaning that you can prove every single number. Now, I don't know about you, but here's what a perfect day in the life of my business looks like. It starts with knowing I can come into my office in the morning, run my balance sheet, and see a snapshot of what my financial picture looks like. and trust that the information is accurate and trust that I can rely on that information. Then I've got my whole day laid out. I know exactly what I need to do. I can sort of forget about that or put it in the back of my mind. But now let's say during my day, I realize I'm not getting the traction I want from my online advertising. I'm just giving you an example. I know I have the funds needed to increase the ad spend in order to solve a problem like that. In other words, I don't have the distraction or the disruption that would otherwise come with not being clear or sure of whether or not I even have enough money to do something about that problem, right? So I'm talking about dramatically reducing stress so you can focus on the important things like building the whole picture of what your brokerage should look like, let's say 1 year from today. If you like what you see so far, if you like what you're hearing, then stay tuned. In the next video, I'm going to show you exactly how you can get started setting up Bulletproof Books for your brokerage. And if you're serious about this, I have some exciting news for you. I'm going to launch Bulletproof Bookkeeping with QuickBooks Online for real estate brokers. And I'm going to include a bunch of bonuses, one of which is going to be a 4-week masterclass where I'm going to take a small group of people through a 4-week seminar series so I can answer your questions and address the specific things that may come up in your brokerage and get you the answers you need directly and specifically. I can only do this once, though, because after this, quite honestly, I have other courses that I need to get onto that are part of my own production schedule for my own company. So I'm only going to be able to do this once. So if you're interested, if you want to get in on the bonuses and, of course, get the course itself, then click the button below. That'll take you over to a really quick opt-in form. I just need your name and email address so I know what to call you and how to reach you. And I'll make sure that you're on that early bird wait list, which means you're going to get notified one day before the rest of the world as soon as this launch goes live, which means you'll get the first chance at getting in on this opportunity. Again, I'm only going to do it once, and it will be limited. I can only take so much people on at one time doing something like this. I hope you enjoyed this video. Remember that in the next video, I'm going to give you the first steps for how to start getting Bulletproof books, and don't forget to sign up for the early bird waitlist.